What's up, witches? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm the Lunar Priest, and today we are going to be talking about the High Priestess tarot card. But before we get started, make sure that you subscribe, like it, leave a comment, follow me on Instagram, follow me on my blog. Wait, can you follow a blog? I don't know, but it's at thelunarpriest.com, and I'm posting like very in-depth descriptions about the High Priestess, about all tarot cards, about astrology placements, about all sorts of stuff. So it's a great resource if you're looking for that sort of thing, but if not, we're going to hop right into the video. So first things first, I always like to mention that looking at the tarot through the lens of astrology is really important because it gives us another lens to see things through. The High Priestess is ruled by the moon, and the moon has always been the witch's planet. It is very much a cyclical, feminine, reflective, ever-changing, it sometimes goes void of course, where it just kind of does its own thing for a while, planet. And that is somewhat representative, I think, of the High Priestess. The High Priestess has traditionally been a card that kind of is like silent in its own nature. It's very much a witness. It is very much about seeing the spirit or the etheric part of what is taking place. It's very deep and reflective, kind of like the moon. It's able to witness an immense amount of darkness and lightness, kind of like, again, like the moon. It sees things in all of its cycles, and it just holds that space. The High Priestess often has a Torah in her hand, kind of symbolizing that she's a keeper of sacred knowledge. She's seen a lot. She is able to really understand the ebbs and flows of life. She's not really a judger, right? She's not really looking to name things or to label things. That's more of a material hobby. She's more about dissecting and analyzing and understanding and reading and intuitively grasping all of these things. The High Priestess on the Tree of Life runs through the part doth, death, or the abyss, and it allows things to leave the state of like lostness or manipulation or kind of the kaleidoscope, and it crosses this darkness right through and up to this very unified consciousness presence kind of area. So the High Priestess really understands the depths of consciousness, the depths of the psyche. She understands how spirituality is a metaphor for life, as life is a portrayal of spirituality. It is all very interlinked to her, and I would say that that kind of ties back to how the moon is ruled by her. It's all of these different things, or she is ruled by the moon. It's kind of like the High Priestess has all of these different facets, these different abilities, these different psychic insights, but it's still just a person, right? It's still just a part of us that exists in everyday life. So it's very much this witness, this inner feminine, this ability to just be silent and still, to make sense of things, but also not mind if things don't make sense at all, as it is just a witness. Sometimes the High Priestess can symbolize a sense of void or emptiness or inability to bear children, but I don't really think that that is as relative, unless there are like supporting cards, and that's what we're asking about. I think the High Priestess more stands for a time of spiritual initiation, where we're diving deep into ourselves, where we're finding the trapped doors of consciousness and where we stow away memories, beliefs, ideals, etc. into ourselves, and where we need to find more honor and more space for that, and how we can do that in everyday life. She's also sitting in between two pillars. I believe it's from a Jewish temple. They have B and J on them, and that again is kind of symbolizing that she has many different facets going on. There is some sort of polarity, and she's holding an equilibrium. She's staying still through even the most exotic, taboo, and ordinary type of things. She's able to bridge this gap between all of those things. So I feel like she's profoundly simple, yet profoundly magical. When the High Priestess comes up, we are at an enhanced ability to channel. We can choose our desires, and we can choose the parts of nature that we want to integrate deeply into ourselves. We can choose otherworldly powers and start to want to practice those things. We might be more interested in our spirituality in general. We might be studying something of the spirit. It also kind of is this stand-alone head female archetype. So our feminine may be coming forward to show us and teach us things, which means the facets of what normally is kept hidden or quiet might be coming up with some very intense wisdom that we need to pay attention to. And also, with it being ruled by the moon, it can mean that we are just in a different phase of life, and it's time to do more listening and more understanding rather than more acting, if you will. When the High Priestess comes up inversed, it can mean that we aren't really wanting to pay any attention to the spirit. We could be in overactivity. We could be kind of rejecting parts of ourselves. We could have a hard time adapting. We could be kind of cold or sterile towards the world and unable to integrate the lessons, and that's causing us to be kind of moody or emotional or angry or hard to understand or hard to connect to in general. We could also be somewhat delusional or paranoid in those states. Overall, it's kind of that lunatic vibe where we're kind of just like lost and out there in some way, or we have a story that we're following that might not be totally based in reality. The High Priestess is also associated with the number 2, which I think is worth mentioning. If you want to know more about the number 2, I've posted about it on my Instagram in terms of the occult theory of numerology. And also, 2 is a very feminine yin type of number. It's very much about duality, polarity, this kind of ability to reflect, if you will. So again, this is a very elusive archetype, but ultimately is the embodiment of our own intuition, depth, and ability to understand all that is and all that is changing, and gives us the wisdom to accept those things and to decipher them spiritually and to turn it into a very useful piece that we can archive and refer back to later. I hope this helped you. If it didn't, I have a blog on it with tons of keywords and stuff like that, so head over to thelunarpriest.com. I know I already said it before. Make sure that you liked and subscribed, and with that, I'll see you later. Bye!